Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Hello and welcome back to the Psych Legal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm the therapist, Tess Brigham.
And I'm Brooke Brigham. I'm the attorney.
So we are back with our Sister Wives Rewind. Today we are talking about Season 4, Episodes 9 and 10. So Episode 9 is Mary's baby decision, which we all know what her baby decision is.
Well, it's kind of false advertising.
Yeah, it is.
She doesn't actually make a decision.
No,
Spoiler
she doesn't.
alert.
Spoiler alert. And then Episode 10 is the Brown Family Confessions, which they really don't confess anything.
No, but the teens, this one they had the teens on there. And
yes.
They did a few,
few
interesting
moments.
things. Yeah.
Yes. And then at the very end, stay tuned because we are going to talk about Real Housewives of Orange County, which some people are saying they don't like, but I have to say, I'm really enjoying the season.
Yeah.
I'm liking it. I don't know why people are criticizing it. I'm quite enjoying it.
I always love an Orange County episode.
I mean, come on. How can you not enjoy Shannon, who always looks like she's like just
frightened?
And is that John Jansen? Is that what?
John, that's where John lives. John, under the bridge.
She's just, what? This is going to ruin my life. You can't talk about this. Oh, God. How can you not love Shannon?
Yeah, and Tamara's back, and now Vicky's back.
Tamara's back to ruin everybody's lives.
Tamara is batshit crazy.
Oh my God. This poor Jen was like, I cannot wait to get on the show with my good friend Tamara.
and then she's ripping her to shreds.
Tamara is like ripping this poor girl. It is like Tamara is the prisoner that has been in prison for 30 years. And Jen is the newbie who just got there and thought she was making a good friend.
Yeah.
Who is about to teach her some lessons.
Yeah. All right.
It is sad.
I'll save it for the end.
I'll save it for the end. But first, we've got to talk about Sister Wives. So
we're going to Cancun.
We are. So were they in Cancun? They were down in the Yucatan. They were down in Tulum, not Tulum, but were they down in Playa del Carmen?
I saw a sign at the airport that said Cancun.
Oh, okay.
So I assume they're in Cancun.
Okay. So this is Mary's baby decision. So Mary is packing for a trip. And of course, we get through this whole thing where they usually tell us, the wives, they're able to go on trips for birthdays and anniversaries. But last year, Mary didn't go on any. She didn't go on a trip for her birthday or anniversary. We don't know why.
Is it because they were fleeing and that was during that whole time period?
Yes, it was because they were fleeing and because of finite resources.
Yes, finite resources.
And I don't know, did anyone else go on anything? Because
I'm sure Robin got her trip.
Oh, I'm sure she did. But I don't know. I mean, you think Janelle let Cody spend any money on her to go on an anniversary or birthday trip?
No, they probably went camping like they always do.
So now, this is one thing that I noticed is Cody says something to the effect of your anniversary. And Mary corrects him and says our anniversary. And I've noticed that, Mary corrects, especially Cody, but Mary corrects people a lot. She really likes to correct Cody about what he says.
Yeah.
Anyway. So then, of course, we see the same thing. We've seen this so many times where Cody Every time Cody packs for a trip, he's got to go to all these different houses because he's got all his clothes and all the houses and all the blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, you'd think he'd get a better system.
Yeah, and all these years later.
Yeah.
But I just want to say, I looked at that closet. It seemed like he had a lot of clothes. You were only down there for 2-3 days. I mean, it was not a long trip. So you can't find enough stuff in that closet to take on a 3-4 day trip?
I know, Cody. Who knows?
You've always got to make things complicated, Cody.
Everything is just chaos.
Yes. So, but he leaves the house and he tells the cameras, I've got a surprise for Mary. A surprise that every woman wants, which is, at the end of the trip, I'm going to push her to make a decision about the surrogacy.
Can't wait for a good pushing.
Yes.
I know. He thinks that's a surprise.
Yes. So the main issue is Mary needs to decide if she wants to try to have another child. And he's pushing for an answer. So the next day, we're in Mexico. Woohoo!
And of course, he has to get a convertible. Anytime he goes anywhere on any of these vacations, he always has to rent a convertible.
You're right. For the 11-day honeymoon, he also got a convertible.
And I believe there was another trip that I saw recently with Christine or something. He had a convertible. Always has a convertible. Because he's Cody Brown.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Mary says she loves trips with Cody because they can really focus on each other. And Cody's response to that is he struggles because there's this pressure to do it for all the other wives, to always there's any time he has a trip.
Yeah.
There's this pressure because he has to have a trip for each of the wives. Yeah. So apparently other polygamists say,
well, that's what she promised them. Well, he was also saying that it's pressure, but because he doesn't want the other wives to get upset. And then the wives feel awkward because, the ones who aren't going feel upset. And then the one that is going, Mary said she feels awkward because she's going and they're not. And that's the thing, why did Mary seems to get better trip, she's going to Mexico, but I swear to God, Janelle has never done anything more than go camping with him.
We've seen Mary in just these. We're now at season 4. I've seen Mary go to Mexico twice. I've seen Christine go to Vegas. I've seen Robin go to San Diego, and I've seen Janelle go camping.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Yeah.
And then we see an interview with the other wives, and they're all they're fine with it. They're like, yeah, that's fine. We don't care.
Yeah.
They all seem okay. Except for Christine, because Christine's I'm next. So.
Well, one thing that I noticed right away is, and I think one of them made a comment about, how hot and humid it was. And of course, Mary she has 2 shirts on at all times.
Oh, yeah.
It's just the one long sleeve shirt to cover her body. And, so I'm just thinking, gosh, she must be hot. But then it's okay for her to be in a bathing suit, when they go into the cave. So it's just if she can be on camera in a bathing suit, why does she have to wear the 2 shirts?
Yeah.
Why can't she wear a tank top?
Yeah.
If you're on vacation, you could bend the rules a little bit.
Or a t-shirt.
Yeah,
it doesn't even have to be a tank top. Or a t-shirt or a 3/4 sleeve shirt.
Right. And maybe some shorts, not shorts, but...
Or, I don't know,
a sundress.
Capris.
Yeah.
Can we see your ankles? Is that possible?
I know.
Yeah. So instead of what they normally do, they decided to get a private condo, and they were so close to the beach. They were shocked.
Yeah, they're oceanfront.
Yes. So these 2 are the kinds of people that I would never want to travel with on a vacation. They are the go, 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 because every minute of every day of this vacation, these 2 were jam-packed. Either this is how they are, or TLC told them, you've got to do all of these things.
I think, they need content. They have to show them doing things. So,
but I think this is who these people are.
Yeah. So, the first they arrive and it's dark.
Yeah. So they had to go to bed.
So they went to bed. But the next day they go to see pyramids.
And they go to Koba. Is it Koba? Koba.
Oh, that's the pyramid place.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what happened to Cody's ass. It was like
He's sweating, but just from his butt.
And it was like he peed his pants. There was so much sweat. Much sweat. But nowhere else sweat.
It was very
disgusting.
odd.
And he's in long pants.
Like
and
khaki pants.
And a long sleeve shirt.
Yes.
And it's hot as fuck.
Yes.
Yeah. So then they meet up with Saul and Natalie. And of course, Cody has to tell them he has 4 wives.
It's the shock, poor Natalie.
Yeah. Natalie's just
Saul's just kind of like, oh, whatever.
Whatever, dude. Natalie looks a little horrified. And then they take them to these caves. That's
like a cave in a lake.
Yeah. And, I don't think I could go in there. Could you? Could you do that?
The cave in the lake?
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, the rappelling, I think maybe when I was younger, I do wonder if I could physically get myself up.
Up the ladder.
Up the ladder got me a little nervous. I mean, I feel like, I think if Mary physically could get herself up, I think I could physically get myself up. But
that's a lot of upper body strength.
Yeah.
You literally have to, like pull your weight up on this rickety ladder. And what if you can't do it?
Well,
You're
I think they have a backup. I think there is something that they can do.
Why don't they just get you out that way?
I don't know. I think it's very complicated, and you might have to be hanging on there for a while or something like that. I don't know. I don't think they let anyone down there that they don't think can physically get themselves back up.
But how do they know that until they try
I mean, I don't know. I don't think they would let some 400-pound person go down there if they didn't. But, Mary loves adventure. I mean, that's sort of what she's kind of, do you know what I mean? I mean, this is sort of how she's always sold herself.
Yeah. Well, I think she just, like with the skiing and stuff, and look at how that went. She pushes herself because she doesn't. I think Cody must make fun of her or something
if she doesn't perform.
Yeah, because she has this need to perform for Cody physically and do these things. So I feel like at some time in the past, he maybe made fun of her or something. There's something there.
Do you think this is wrapped up in the baby stuff? Do you think that because she can't produce children, which he says something to her at the end about this, but do you think that's her feeling like I'm not good enough because I can't make a bunch of babies?
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure she always has to be proving herself to him.
Yeah.
And then there's this parallel story going on.
Yes, back at home.
God. That Christine and Janelle are taking their real estate exam.
Yes.
And Janelle, makes note of the fact that, we really need the income.
Yes. They do. They need the income. So, and so we learn. So after they're going to take their exam, they're going to go meet Robin for lunch and then call Mary and Cody in Mexico. So we learn that after the exam, one passed and one failed. And so they go to, and the name of this restaurant was Homemade Greek Food.
Oh.
And I was like, I kept looking at, I rewound it and went back and I was like, is this the name of the restaurant? Homemade Greek Food. Just FYI.
Very descriptive.
Yes. So Janelle passed and Christine failed. And poor Christine. This was just the saddest phone call ever.
It was.
Because Cody and Mary couldn't hear and they kept having to pass the phone back and forth on the cell phone because they couldn't hear. And she had to say, I failed several times over and over again.
It was like, who's on first?
Yes. It was just, wait, who failed?
Yeah.
Did you pass? Christine passed?
You both passed?
No.
No. Christine did not pass. She's like, I failed.
I failed. Oh, you passed? No, I failed. So Janelle passed? Janelle passed. Oh, God. So poor Christine. So she was hoping to move forward, but she now has to, and that is always
that's
the
tough.
worst. to have to like, studying for a big exam like that. And then to have to pull out the books again. I was so happy. I passed my licensing exams. I had 2. I passed both of them on the first try. So I'm very glad I did.
Same here. I passed the bar. There was no way I was.
Could you imagine having to like,
going to take that again?
Can you imagine having to like study for the bar again?
No. I mean, I studied for a good, it was like my full-time job, like 8 hours a day, every day for 2 months. Towards the end, I just kind of was like, you know what? If I don't know it now, I'm never going to know it.
Yeah.
I just like stopped studying a few days before.
Me too. It was my full-time job for several months. And then I had to take another exam. I took the first one, I passed, and then I took the other one. And mine was, if you failed the exam, you would have to wait 6 months. It was almost punitive.
Yeah.
So you'd have to wait 6 months and to retake it. And so there was also that other part of like, God, it's like
Stretching it out.
It's stretching it out. And we would get our results right away. So it was like, you press that button, like I'm done. And then they're tabulating your score. They're like, well, while you're waiting, answer some questions. How was the service? And you're like, oh, fuck you.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like,
God,
how was the room? How did you like the check-in process?
They trapped you into doing a survey.
They want us to answer questions about the survey. You're like, I don't care. I don't care. And you're just waiting and your heart is pounding out of your chest. Like, boom, 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 boom. Then finally you get that thing of like, you passed. And you're like, yes. Well, and then you're just like gathering you're just so hyped up and you're gathering all your stuff out and you just can't wait to like run out the room to start telling people.
Yeah, well, for the bar exam, we had to wait 4 months, which is torture because it's a written. Someone has to actually read your essays and grade them and all that. And yeah, that's kind of torture. And then as the date starts to approach, the results come out. And, the funny thing is so I'm old. So when I took the bar exam, they were just starting to, this was just when the internet was, a thing and it was accessible. And I remember I had this like ancient old laptop, but I figured out that Dad gave to me. I figured out how to use it and hook it up to the internet and all that kind of stuff because they were going to release, they still mailed the results out, but this was the first year they were going to put them online. So you could
how advanced.
It was very advanced for back then and no one really knew how to do it. And so I was, trying to practice. Okay, what did I do? I put in my code, they sent you whatever. It was so antiquated. And so it was like, I think it was 5 p.m. on a certain day. It was a Friday, I remember, I think. It's like right before Thanksgiving. Anyway, so I get on there. I'm setting it up. It's almost 5 o'clock. I go on. I log in. I'm very nervous, and I really don't know what I'm doing with the logging in. I've never done anything like this before. And when I was putting in my information, you have to put in your social security number and a bunch of stuff. And I hit enter. And as soon as I hit enter, that feeling where you have like, I don't think I put in the number right. And so, of course, it came up and it said, this person, did not pass. And I was like, that's not right. I'm like, I knew I had passed that exam. I knew it. So I went back, carefully, like re-inputted everything, pressed enter, and it's like, congratulations. You passed. And I was just like, oh, thank God.
Oh my gosh.
But that was very nerve-wracking.
Yes. Oh my God. But it's not even associated with your name. Like you didn't even know. It was just associated with a number. Yeah.
It was like they gave you some login code and then you had to put in your social security number and birthday or something. I just knew. I knew when I hit the button, I'm like, I didn't put that in. I didn't put the numbers in right because I was nervous.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I feel for you, Christine.
I feel for Christine.
It's just not fun.
But I think doesn't she eventually go on to
remember?
Pass?
So later on we see her. She basically, it wasn't until Mona Reiki sits her down and tells her like, hey, when you're in real estate, you kind of have to hustle, Christine.
Yeah.
Like you need to, you're working weekends, you're working nights, you're hustling. And Christine's like, what? I need to be home for my children. Nights, weekends. What?
I can't do that.
I can't do that. I have my kids. And so I think Christine just throws up her hands. I don't think Christine ever really wanted to do this.
No,
You
I
know?
think it was pressure to make money.
I think, Christine didn't. This
They
wasn't
thought it was
for
going to be,
Christine.
they thought it was going to be an easy way to make money. And Cody, he dropped out right away.
God, Cody saw the size of the book and was gone.
At least Christine, studied for the test and took the test.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway.
more than Cody did.
So Mary and Cody, is this the next day? So the next day they decide to go to, is it Zenha?
Yeah, some kind of water park.
All natural water park where they swim with dolphins.
Which I would never swim with dolphins, would you? That looks frightening to me.
I don't know. I just, again, when I'm on vacation, I like to get up and I like to kind of like have my coffee and maybe read, go
Sit
to
by the pool. Yeah.
have some breakfast, I don't know, maybe go sightseeing a little bit, maybe shop. Like, I do not want to be jam-packed going. This is what it's like vacationing with Dad, but it's like, I don't want to be doing something every 2 minutes. Ugh.
Yeah, let's just relax.
This is a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
This is a lot of go, go, go. But then we have this very interesting thing where apparently Mary said that Natalia was cute.
Yeah, and it's like,
Oh,
Mary,
Lordy.
slow down. Like,
Yeah. So now everyone's freaking out. There's going to be another sister wife.
Yeah, and Cody says, that's what you said about Robin. And look how that turned out.
Yes. So now it's like, oh, Lordy. Because every
Yeah.
time Mary thinks someone's cute, some woman's cute, it's like, uh-oh, she's a sister wife.
And all the rest of them are like, nope, no, that's not happening.
Yes. But geez, I guess this is how it works. Mary says someone's cute, and then they're a sister wife.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
She's in charge.
So, and then Cody and Mary, they have a very romantic dinner plan. Little does Mary know that the bomb is being dropped.
Yeah, Cody wants answers.
Yes.
You barely get into this dinner.
God, she didn't even get she didn't even get water or anything or
like, at
an
least
appetizer.
Get through the dinner, get
Yeah.
to dessert or something. No, he wants answers. He says it's been 2 years. Mm-hmm. And, I think they still don't seem to really get the egg issue.
Yes.
They're still talking about this as if it's a possibility, but Mary says she feels too old to start a family, and I don't know what I want.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, of all the things that Mary's ever said, I think, I do think that what she said about this was very real and very honest and pretty profound. Most profound thing she's ever said, which is that I'm too old, I'm too young to be an empty nester, and I'm too old to start a family.
Mm-hmm.
And she's very right on about that. She's very freaked out about going through all this again. And she's right. This is why she's having such a hard time, because she is so scared of going through this, because she's been going through this for 20 years. For 20 years, she's gotten her hopes up time and time again to be let down. And she's in this very weird position where she's 41 years old. And yeah, she's too young to be an empty nester. She's not 60.
Yeah.
And with a partner, with a full-time partner, like ready to start this next chapter of her life. But she's also not, but she's also not 22, ready to start a family. Like,
right.
And she also doesn't have a full-time partner. Like,
right.
That's the thing. She's in this really weird, precarious position, and she doesn't know what to do. And it would be great if she had a partner, maybe, who could have a conversation with her instead of going, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What do you want to do? Do you want to do it? Do you want to do it? Like, she kind of is so alone in this. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the other part of it is that I think this is one of the downsides of the sister wife thing is that she is very much alone in this, because Cody has other children. He's not, she is alone. Mm-hmm. She is alone in this decision.
Yeah.
He is not alone because he has other kids. She is alone.
Yeah.
And I feel for her.
Yeah. And she says, she wishes it would just happen magically on its own, so she doesn't have to decide. She doesn't have an answer. And Cody says, do you want to find out if your eggs are viable? And she says, Let me think about it. No decision made.
Well, I will say that Cody does tell her, like, not having any children doesn't change your value to me. You need to know that in your heart. And I thought that was, like, very kind. I was very nice. And then, but I felt like Cody, and I, when Cody said, you know, do you want to find out about your eggs? I'm like, good. Now we're kind of moving somewhere. Like, yes, you need to find that out.
Right.
Like,
That's
this is really, really vital.
Yeah.
Like, because really, if you want this to genetically be your baby, Mary, we need to find this out. And this is really important. But when she said, I just wish this would magically happen. I just want this to happen. I feel like that's your answer. That is her answer. Her answer is she doesn't want to, she
doesn't want any intervention.
She doesn't want any more intervention. She doesn't want, it's just too hard for her to go through this anymore. That is her answer. And I kind of was like, please, Cody, can you pick up on that? That's what her answer is. Yeah. And so when he then suggested the egg thing and she said, well, let me think about it. And he's like, oh, okay. I'm like, oh God, now we're still in this.
Yeah.
Let me think about it. And then he's like, well, I don't want to wait forever for a decision. I'm like, yeah. But this is her decision. Her decision.
She doesn't want to do anything.
Yeah. So that's her decision.
So if it happens, it happens. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. That's it.
But we got to keep going with the storyline.
Yeah. Jesus.
And that's that. And so next time we see him heading back to, and then they're going back home.
Okay. Yep. The end of the trip.
Yep. And so then this is episode 10, which is Brown Family Confessions. So this is a different one because they've got written questions and they've got video questions, and they've got, in the beginning, they've got teenagers there with them, all the older teens. So they're at Janelle's house. So the first question is from Ernesto. Ernesto asks the teens, is anyone dating yet? And he's like, ooh.
Yeah. And they all kind of, say, well, they all kind of look at Logan.
Yeah.
And I don't know how the subject of kissing comes up, but Cody, of course, comes in with his kisses have a price.
Yes, consequences.
And Robin's like, are you being careful?
I'm like, yeah, careful with
kissing. Why are you going there, Robin? Like,
so Logan apparently is kissing someone.
Logan is kissing someone, and I'm sure Maddie is kissing someone.
Yeah.
I know that for sure. I don't know about the others.
Leon says the last time I was alone with a boy was on accident.
And then Cody praises them and says, the obedient daughter right there. He loved that. He loved hearing that.
Yes. Yeah. But Cody says, I want to know if you're dating or kissing because you're under this roof and I should be able to counsel you or, give you wisdom on these things because they have consequences. I'm like, what are you going to counsel them about? Like more tongue, less tongue.
Well, he says, I have the right to know. And it's like, no, you don't, Cody.
I don't know.
You don't have the right to know, like, the details of your teenagers kissing. You really don't have the right to know about anything they're doing with their bodies, quite frankly. This is not sex positive. Mm-hmm. This is the opposite. I mean, this is draconian.
Yeah.
What world does he think he's living in? And what year does he think it is? And, kissing has consequences?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what consequences it has. I mean, certainly relationships and feelings and all of that, you can get hurt. You can emotionally get hurt and have feelings and all of that. Certainly that has consequences. But I don't know. Why don't you teach your children how to manage their emotional, their emotions and their feelings? That would be a good thing to do as opposed to punishing them because they kiss somebody.
Well, yeah, I guess he thinks, kissing's going to lead to something else, and then it's going to lead to something else, and then it's going to lead to sex.
Yeah, and God forbid.
Sometimes that does happen, so maybe you should, talk to them about it. Yeah, like don't just say kissing has consequences. What does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean to you, Cody? Explain that. Anyway,
well, Shauna says, compared to Utah, do people accept your religion, more in Vegas? And Logan says he feels like they're judged less in Vegas than they were in Utah. And everyone agrees that Vegas is far more relaxed, non-judgmental than Utah.
Well, yeah, it's Sin City.
Yes, yes.
Not a lot of judgment going
Yes. Ashley asks, what's the issue that the family butts heads on the most? This one I love. Maddie says church. Because essentially, nobody wants to go to dad's church.
Nobody wants home church.
Basically, but Maddie was saying like dad is cranky or crying that no one wants to go.
Yeah, Aspen said dad is crazy.
Oh, that's right. Aspen said that.
Yeah, and then one of them says, that he's either cranky or crying during church.
So Cody's crying.
Yeah.
So is it the teens don't want to go, but then the teens go, and then Cody is
I think they're
moaning?
forced to go.
They're forced to go, and then what's happening? Then they get there, and then Cody is moaning through the entire process.
I have no
about how
idea.
they're not happy to be there.
Well, no, I think maybe he just I think they're talking about his general attitude and demeanor when he's preaching. He either gets real emotional and starts crying, or he's just kind of cranky and angry and does an angry rant.
Oh God!
Like he's performing.
That's a fun. Well, no wonder nobody likes going to church, Cody. You're not making it very fun for people.
No.
Well, Janelle says that essentially anything that requires making the teenagers do anything is the biggest thing they butt heads on.
Yeah.
So Barbara asks, Cody, how would you feel about your daughters being in a marriage with several wives? And Cody gets into this whole thing that he wants them to marry the right person with the right sister wives that will make a big difference. And then he gets into this whole laundry list of need to marry someone who can make money and have skills and abilities. And he has this very long list.
Very high expectations.
Very high expectations of who he's looking for. But you know what? Guess what, Cody? None of your children are in plural marriage, so you never have to worry about that.
No, and also, his marriages clearly
didn't work,
and so he's not really exactly a role model.
Mm-hmm. And his children all seem to be in marriages that are working.
Yeah, so far.
Dana asks, how has moving to Las Vegas changed the family dynamic? And of course, the big thing is it has its challenges because of the 4 houses. They're all too far
to
apart.
Get together.
Aspen says no one ever sees dad.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. We don't ever see dad now. So she's co-signing what Christine has been saying all this time.
Yeah.
About how he never spent any time with them.
Yeah. And Aspen says it because he never goes over to their house.
Yeah.
And then Robin says, what she wanted when she first met the family is now slowly slipping away from them. And then McKelty goes into this whole thing about how she feels really close to Robin's kids, especially Brianna. She feels a spiritual bond with Brianna.
Yeah, that was very weird.
Very weird.
And you know what? Robin actually shed a tear.
Yeah, an actual tear came out.
There was one tear in the corner of her eye just kind of coming.
So that was a real feeling.
Cheek. So it was like, wow. Okay.
So she feels people. She can cry.
Yeah, when someone is talking glowingly about her child.
But that's interesting that she feels such a special bond.
Yeah, and why
Brianna?
Why Brianna?
I don't know.
I've never we've never heard of this or seen this before. McKelty's weird.
Yeah. So Deborah asks, with all the kids being different ages, do the boys look after the girls? And Logan says yes. And Maddie tells a very sweet story of how, of course, Daddy Logan protecting her, telling, I can't remember the full story. Did you write it down?
She was scared. There was a thunderstorm or something, and she was scared. And they were little, and he said, "Don't worry, I'll protect you. I'll always protect you."
I'm not afraid of anything.
Yeah. No, he's just the perfect.
Yes, he is.
Oldest child.
He's so perfect. Always there to protect everybody. Kathy and Stephanie ask, of all the foods, what do they request the most? Which is this mock tapioca pudding, which I love tapioca pudding. So I assume, does Christine put a recipe out there for this? I feel like this has been out there somewhere.
Try to find that.
Yeah.
but I don't know why it's called.
Or it's like German oatmeal or
fluffy
something.
cream of wheat cereal. I don't know. It didn't look very good when they showed them eating it.
Yeah, I mean, it takes like an hour and a half to make. So I assume it's just. I don't know. I have to figure out how to. I love tapioca pudding though.
All right. So,
do you have the next one?
The next one is Alice. And I love this. She asks about, the temptations. All the temptations in Las Vegas. And she says, drinking, gambling, hookers. It's like, whoa, Alice. You really go there. And then I have down here, Las Vegas, you are good or bad. What does that mean?
Oh, you know what it is? The teens, this is what the teens were saying. And I started this because I thought this was really interesting. Because what the teens were saying was, in terms of like what they saw with other kids in school, was that they saw that with teens in school, like in Vegas, it's very clear. Like, listen, in Vegas, it's like, if you're a bad kid, you're a bad kid, or a good kid. And it's very clear, and everyone knows, and it's very clear. And in Utah, the lines are blurry.
Yeah.
And I think that is really interesting, because I think that tells you a lot about things. Like in Vegas, I think it's very much like, this is who I am. Yeah. I put it out there. If I like sex, I'm going to tell you. If I like drugs, I'm going to tell you. And I think what they're saying about Utah is there's a lot of people out there that pretend that they're real sweet and kind, but behind closed doors, they're not being truthful.
Yeah. And was it Maddie said something about how in Utah, like everyone's trying to look like the good Mormon. Mm-hmm. Oh, we're just clean or whatever. And then you'll be at a party and someone will just break out some drugs.
Yes.
So it's more covert.
She said she got offered a lot more. I bet you anything that, like in Vegas, I bet you people probably saw, oh yeah, you probably don't do drugs, I'm not going to offer you anything. And I bet you anything in Utah, it's very different.
Yeah.
I thought that was fascinating.
That was interesting. And then McKelty started talking about something about gambling, and I think Cody cut her off, or I don't know. My notes are not good on that one.
And this is the one they played this one 3 times.
Oh, I know.
Because they wanted to shock us. Evelyn asks, what does Cody take to take care of all those women? Because she wants some for her husband. So this grossed out all the teens. They're all like, ew, gross, yuck. Ugh, bleh. So they all get so grossed out. They all leave. They all leave the room, and then they all leave. And then Cody's like, "Well, I'm not going to answer that question." I'm like,
"Well, then why'd they have to leave?
Well, why do they all have to leave? Like, if we all know." And then what I was just wondering is, so how authentic are these questions? Like, what I'm wondering about TLC or Puddle Monkey or whoever's doing this is like, did you just grab people in the casino and said, "Ma'am, we'll give you $20 in casino chips. Read this question."
Yeah.
Do you know? Or where did they find these people?
I'm sure that they're stopping people in the casino, offering them like a discount at the buffet.
Or like you want a free drink.
Yeah.
And
they say like, "Oh, have you
free buffet
have you
or
ever
whatever,
seen Sister Wives?" And if they say yes, they're like, "Okay, can you ask this question?" These questions are prepared questions.
Yeah, they've got to be. Yeah. I mean, because they're all so basic and boring.
Yeah.
With one semi-interesting one where you'll get a semi-interesting response. And this one is just one to shock them with the odd hope that maybe they'll answer it.
Right.
Knowing that they won't.
Right.
But I was just like, you knew they were going to pass on this, Puddle Monkey.
Well,
so why
also,
are we doing this?
I don't think that Cody does take care of all of them in the bedroom.
Oh, no, I don't think he does.
frankly.
And I don't think he does. I don't think he's taking Cialis or whatever. You think he's taking something? Maybe now he is.
He was younger back, when this was made, but
I don't think he's taking anything.
Mary said they hadn't had sex in 10 years.
When? When she was with the guy? When she was getting catfished?
No, I think this came out in a reunion. I think it was the season 16 or 17 tell-all or whatever. She said, it had been like a decade. And I think Christine, said that, he basically had sex with her like once a year, couple times a year. Mm-hmm. That was in that season where she was breaking up with him. And, I think Janelle has very low requirements.
Yeah.
So he's not.
Yeah.
Like, he's not having all this sex.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever was,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, so Karen asks, is there a clean the toilet wife, a shopping at the mall wife,
A basement wife?
being in charge of being in charge of taking them to soccer practice wife, or a wife for the bedroom? And they basically say, yeah, they're all four. They do it all, they're all there. So this question, I think, was a legitimate question. This was the one question that seemed real because it was misspelled and it was very real. It was from Azar. How many wives can a man marry? Because Azar really wanted to know this one. So we learned that there's no limit. Brigham Young had 27 wives. But Cody says, 4 is enough.
You think? And he says he nurtures and respects all of his wives.
Oh, yes. Christine had a funny look on her face. I looked over at her and I was wondering, what do you think about this now, Christine? But then Cody talks about how he and Mary, they courted a woman for a long time, but it wasn't right. And I'm like,
that was the underage girl.
This was before Janelle, right? Was this before Janelle?
I think it was before Christine.
But after Janelle.
After Janelle.
Okay. Interesting. And they said they did that for a while.
Yeah, it was in the book. Mary said that they were waiting for her to turn 18. And then I think the girl broke it off with them. And I think that was in the book, but in this show they were trying to say they broke it off with her because it wasn't right. And that's when Christine got wind of that, and she started coming around again because she always wanted to be with Cody.
Yeah, but of course Christine's like, she's done with 4. Yes. Danny asks, is there ever a time when someone isn't mad at you? So Mary and Robin say they're not mad at him.
Oh,
And then Janelle doesn't respond at all, but then Christine says she is mad at him.
Yeah, of course.
Of course she is. And then Cody says he needs harmony in these relationships. And then Robin, though Robin isn't wrong in what she's saying, though, but she says that what she saw in her parents' marriage is that her mother would put aside her pettiness. I was like, ooh, this is interesting. She would put aside her pettiness and focus on what he did right because they didn't have a lot of time together and they didn't have a lot of time to fight.
Wow. And Robin's mom really groomed her and trained her to for this task.
I mean, listen, I don't disagree with her in terms of like, it is, yes,
pick your battles.
Yes, you want to pick your battles. You want to focus on, you want to be grateful. You want to focus on what people are doing right versus what they're doing wrong. That if you certainly can focus on everything that's going wrong in life, and life can be terrible or it can be wonderful. It's all how you look at it. But I just thought it was kind of interesting. I was just like, ooh, you really are kind of sticking it to Christine a little bit here. I mean,
yeah.
I wonder how Christine felt in that moment because we all know that the two of them aren't really getting along too much and what you're speaking to. And so as we've seen, I mean, this was this whole thing about how he accused Christine of being so horrible to Robin. It's like there's a lot of these moments where she makes these kind of passive aggressive, underhanded.
Yeah, like, why can't you just be nice? Just be nice to him and it'll all be fine.
Yeah.
It'll all work out. But
yeah,
she just couldn't.
Well, but it's easy to be nice to someone you've been married to for a year versus someone you've been married to for 17 years.
Right.
Anyway, so Lisa says, with so many kids, how is college going to be paid for when each show has shown how hard finances are for the Brown family? Janelle says she worked her way through college and paid for it herself. So her kids can do the same. Robin says that maybe they might not go to college. And Janelle looked like she was about to jump over and kill Robin.
Yeah.
She said, well, they can have at least a trade education, but that the kids can pay for it themselves. And have most of the kids gone to college?
I think so. I don't know if they all finished. I don't know if Maddie finished college. Well, Peyton and Garrison went into the military. And then Maddie went to college, but then she left after a year. She got married. But I think when she moved to North Carolina, I think she went back to school. I don't know if she's finished school. I kind of doubt it. And then...
What about Aspen?
Yeah, Aspen graduated from UNLV. And
so did Logan.
And Leon graduated from somewhere. I don't know if it was that Westminster College or a different college. But they graduated, and then...
Hunter's a nurse, so had to...
nurse practitioner, yeah.
Yeah. Those exams are not easy.
Oh, you're damn near a doctor.
Yeah, becoming
practitioner.
a nurse practitioner is not easy by any means.
Gwen, I think, is Gwen in school? I know she maybe was in school. I'm not sure. Isabel, she went to North Carolina to go to that college where Maddie was, but then she came back, so I don't know what she's doing.
McKelty.
Gabe, I think, goes to Northern Arizona University. McKelty, I don't know if McKelty went to college. She was going to college in Utah, I believe. And then she met Tony and got married. I don't know if she finished.
Who am I forgetting of Janelle's kids? I feel like I'm forgetting a Janelle, Maddie, Hunter, Savannah. Garrison. Now is starting. So is Savannah going to school in South Carolina?
I don't know.
North Carolina?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I mean,
Dayton went to college?
Dayton went to college. He just graduated. So I mean, pretty much all of them either graduated or
started
and maybe are still working on it.
Okay.
Except for, like I said, Garrison and Peyton, they went into the military. And I don't know if they
are going to use the GI Bill or not.
Yeah, or what they did after that. I'm not really sure.
All right. So Rita asks, since there is more than one mom, who pulls rank? And it really depends on whose child it is. And then Cody says, I pull rank.
Yeah.
And so he says, when there needs to be a course correction. And so this is the best, right? So then they show this clip of, quote unquote, Cody doing this course correction. And this is a clip of Gwen and Gabe like fighting at the bottom of the stairs. And we see Cody coming down the stairs, like trying to figure out what's going on. And he's kind of getting on Gabe for like, quote unquote, beating up on Gwen, and Gabe's...
I think it was Savannah.
Was it Savannah, not Gwen? Oh, okay. Kind of beating up on Savannah. And I love this sort of course correction because basically Gabe's just laughing at him. He's like, well, apologize to your sister. And he's like, sorry. and he's just like trying to teach him something. It's like, okay, yeah, right, Dad. And I was like, this is great. This is great.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
great job.
Great job. And so I'm thinking to myself, do these people, I mean, this is like a real FU to Cody, right? I mean, this is not a great example.
This
is either the best example of Cody's parenting that they could show, or this is them going, yeah, this is his course correction, people.
I don't think Cody doesn't do a lot of parenting. And when he does it badly.
Yeah, this is it. This is the extent of it.
Yeah.
All right. So Waverly, Winter, and Olivia say, what types of hair products does Cody use? Now, do you think that Cody said, can we get something in there about my hair?
Yeah, because he was quick to say he uses a cleanser, a scalp therapy, and a follicle booster.
Yes. I don't use this much crapola in my hair. I don't even know what half of this stuff. The follicle booster is
that's for his balding.
A scalp therapy, what is that for? What's the
even know what that
for?
is.
Is cleanser, wait, is cleanser like a shampoo?
What does he mean?
Is cleanser shampoo? What's scalp therapy?
I don't know.
I don't know what any of these things are. And I'm a woman.
Well, he's
with hair.
He's follically challenged. Right?
Yes. Oy.
Oh, well,
right.
And then Chandra asks, I mean, this is old news. What if one of you dies? Ugh. And we hear the story of Mary's sister. It was 6 years ago. Her sister passed away, and her sister wife Actually, I thought this was very nice. Her sister wife moved into her house so that the kids could stay in their own house. They wouldn't have to be disrupted. I don't know how many kids this other wife had, if any. I don't know. We never hear about that. But
and that's how it all ends. And this,
sad.
of course, because this is one of the blessings of the lifestyle. This is the one blessing.
The one blessing. If you die, which, statistically is pretty unlikely that you die before your children are grown, there's someone there to step in.
The only good part about this lifestyle is if you're dead.
It only pays off.
It only pays off if you die of some horrible disease, but the rest of it, not so good.
So by that measure, as soon as all your kids are, grown,
which is what we've all seen.
Just get a divorce.
Yeah, the minute your kids are grown or old enough to be, basically about Truly's age, you want to get the hell out of there. And speaking of that, have you seen these photos of Christine with David McKelty, Isabel
in London,
with Truly and
Aspen
and her husband? Yeah, they are. Someone calling your landline.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my God! Someone is calling your landline.
It's a landline.
Okay, sorry everybody.
It'll stop in a minute.
This is a real life. Someone is calling Brooke's landline.
Nobody ever calls me.
And of course, right now during the podcast, they're calling during the landline.
On the landline, and I'm sure it's
probably Cody. Calling saying, why are you ripping on me so
I'm
much?
sure it's like some
they went away
solicitation call.
So they're drinking up a storm. So they're all drinking now.
They're all drinking.
So this is it. This religion,
Christine said she left the religion.
Okay, so
she declared that.
So but they're all drinking. I mean, not Truly, but McKelty,
Isabel, she's 20 or
okay, but they're all just drinking. Like we're all just free for all. Nobody's following this religion.
No.
Okay.
No. Well, none of the kids, as soon as they left home, none of them followed.
Oh, okay.
Except maybe Leon for a little while, but no, none of them ever, except for Leon, none of them ever bought into this.
Okay.
Ever.
All right.
So, no, I'm sure Logan was, sneaking beers in high school and whatever.
Yeah.
Maddie. Well, Maddie's rebellious.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
That was that.
That's that.
All right. So, and next week is the season finale of season 4 where Logan decides to go off to college. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah. I think I started watching that one already. And it's a good episode because there's also stuff in there about the stuff with the, they've put down the money on the houses and they start getting into some of the dynamics of that, and Mary getting a big house.
Oh,
and
yes,
there's a good scene on the couch. So we're getting into things.
Okay,
now.
good. All right, so Real Housewives of OC. We talked about it. Was that last week or the week before?
A
few weeks ago. So since that time, I think the last time we talked about it, they were in Montana. So they've been back from Montana, and so I want to talk a little bit about Tamara and this last episode, which was this Emily threw a party and the slip and slide and all that. But I just want to backtrack for a second because Gina, Gina, who is, obviously there's this whole storyline this year where it seems like everybody is coming for Heather.
Yeah.
Everyone's coming for Heather. And one of the people coming for Heather is Gina, who seems to be mad at Heather for whatever reason. One reason's because she feels like she wasn't happy with Heather for saying something to her about you shouldn't be dumping all these problems about your ex with Travis, and that seemed to bother her. And there were some other things I don't quite understand. I guess maybe it bothered her too that maybe Heather instantly gravitated towards Tamara. Tamara's presence is sort of changing the dynamics of everything. But if I was Gina obviously is the poorest one there. And Gina's decided to become a real estate agent. And if I was Gina and I was poor, but I was on the show and I had this platform, I would be up Heather Dubrow's asshole so far, as far as I could go, because that woman has so much money and she knows people with a lot of money. And I would be
could get referrals.
Yes, I would be on the off season. I would have been texting her. I would have been like, Nikki, your son's a real estate agent. I wouldn't be saying anything about the fact that bothered me. I would be like, great.
She should want to go to work for him.
He is my new best friend.
Yeah.
I would be like, Heather Dubrow, where are you going today? Great. Heather Dubrow just bought a house in Beverly Hills that she's going to fix up. I would be this woman's best fucking friend.
Gina's stupid.
She is so dumb. I would be up this woman's asshole and I would be her best friend. This woman knows tons of, and Terry is a plastic surgeon. He knows tons of wealthy people. These people are very well connected and they know lots of rich people. This is, when you're a real estate agent, these are the people that you need to know. It's about relationships. Once you get licensed, once you get things rolling, it's just all about relationships. That's it. It's not, it's a formula. And it's not a really complicated formula. It really isn't. It's just about relationships. You know, you're not wheeling and dealing that much. It isn't. That's the thing. I think people think it's all about negotiation. It's this and that. It really isn't. It's just about plugging in numbers.
It's getting the right clients. It's getting them to feel good about, you know, what they're doing and hold their hand and being and close the deal.
Yes.
Because you don't make any money unless you close that deal.
And being that person who's saying, you want to go see the house right now? Great. Let's go see the house right now.
I'm going to pick you up in my Mercedes.
Yes, exactly. And showing up and doing it and finding and being consistent and you know, like, okay, absolutely, I'm going to keep looking for you and doing that. But you need to have, well, if you want to make money, you need to have wealthy clients who are going to spend money. And that's what you need. And this whole time I'm watching this and I'm like, what are you doing?
She's cutting off her nose to spite her face.
Yes,
you know?
thank you. Driving me nuts.
You know, and then Emily also went off on Heather at that, when they went to Nobu. And Emily was saying to Heather that she didn't think that she was very nice and she thought she was better than everybody else. And,
well, yeah. Doesn't she?
Well,
Heather does think she's better than everybody else. Everybody knows that.
It is true, but I don't think anyone has ever said that to her face in that way. And this was right after after she had the thing with Gina. Emily kind of chimed in and was like, yeah, and another thing, Heather, you know, you're not very, you just look down on other people and you think you're better than everybody else. And Heather looked shocked.
Yeah.
Like she couldn't believe that what was happening, but she couldn't lose her cool.
No.
Because I think Heather is angling for something. She wants her own. She either wants her own show,
or she wants to be on Beverly Hills.
Or she wants to be on Beverly Hills because she just bought a house. First, they bought that penthouse apartment or condo, whatever, in LA. Then someone offered them some ridiculous amount of money for their home, so they sold it. And then they just bought a home in Beverly Hills that they're gonna, renovate and whatever.
But where are they living in the OC? Are they still living in the OC?
Yeah, they're like renting a house Yeah, they're living in the OC. They still have, 2 kids at home and, their other kids come back. So they need a house. They can't all fit in that apartment. So, yeah, they have a house in OC, but they just bought that Beverly Hills house. I think she wants like a show about her, fixing up her new house or her new life in LA, or she wants to be on Beverly Hills Housewives or something. So she's minding her P's and Q's. And, she's trying to be real fancy. She had that Nobu lunch with all the fancy, the silver chopsticks and the this and the that. And these women are just messing things up for her. And then you have Tamara at the other end of the table.
God, throwing napkins at Jen's face.
She was just excoriating Jen. I mean, she must have been so drunk.
Oh, yeah.
She was just yelling at her and basically calling her a whore and all these horrible things. And what I don't understand is why does Jen not really fight back?
Yeah, I don't. Well, and I think that's the part that I think Jen's not understanding. I think Jen's sort of in shock because I think she keeps thinking Tamara and I are friends. Like
why are you doing
what is
this?
What is happening here? Because I think that she think we're starting to see a little bit more of what's happening here. Is I think that she and Tamara were friends, and I think she's shocked to see that Tamara is being this mean to her. And here's your friend, and you get this napkin thrown in your face, and you're kind of just like, what is happening here? Why are you throwing a napkin in my face in Nobu in this restaurant? And what? And I know all these people, and there's cameras here. And
what a scene that was.
And I think she was just so, I think, partially shocked and partially doesn't quite even know what to say and how to react. And then she makes that kind of veiled threat of maybe knowing something else. And and it sounds like the other thing too is that maybe they all talked about Ryan, and maybe they all made comments about Ryan and how Ryan is a player. And maybe Tamara did make sexual, Tamara has always been overly sexual and make overly sexual comments. And I think probably Tamara did make overly sexual comments about Ryan and maybe other guys at the gym, and flirted and done these things. And I think that, Jen probably saw her do that and is now a little shocked that she's calling Jen out for behavior that she saw Tamara
and then
do.
Now, so the next episode after that, Tamara brought that woman Heather Amin to the pool party. Now, I was kind of confused. Was Heather saying that she had something with Ryan?
Well, they were like really, quote unquote, really good friends, like brother and sister kind of friends. And the whole thing's very strange. And that Ryan sent Heather a dick pic on accident, but meant to send it to Jen. And Jen claims that she doesn't understand why Heather would be so involved in Jen and Ryan's relationship unless Heather would be interested in Ryan.
It just feels at this point like Jen knows that Ryan is doing these things.
Yes.
And she doesn't really seem to be that bothered by it.
Yes.
So why is she not that bothered by it? Is she just using it as a storyline? Like, because for a new housewife, she's got this, usually the first season, the housewife, it's very slow and you're getting to know them. She's like a main topic of, every week. It's all about her and Ryan, and she's just cool as a cucumber about it. And it's very odd. She does not fight back against Tamara. She doesn't really seem to give a shit that this guy is probably cheating on her. And I don't understand what is going on.
I don't either. I think, I don't know. I think that I definitely think that she wanted out of her marriage for sure. And I think she was looking for a way out. And I think she found Ryan, and I think it was exciting. I definitely think she cheated on her husband, and she's not really maybe wanting to admit that on air, maybe because there's part of it is a custody battle and alimony and child support, and she doesn't want to admit any of this out in the open. And I think also she knows who Ryan is, and I don't think she's terribly serious about Ryan. Like, I don't think that she sees Ryan as someone who she's going to spend the rest of her life with. So I think she kind of looks at him and is like, I don't care. I don't know. I mean, the whole thing is really weird. She seems overly medicated.
Yeah.
Like she's
like a zombie.
Yeah. So we might learn that she's Xanaxed out or something, because she does seem really Xanaxed out. But the other thing that I thought was so funny is when we have this pool party, when Tamara and Heather show up, and Jen and Heather decide, okay, let's go over here and talk, and so they have this conversation. They're trying to talk. And then Tamara kind of gets bent out of shape. And so Tamara's like, well, I brought, Heather here to talk, and I need to talk too, like the three of us need to talk. Like, so Tamara starts to walk over there to sit down, and Shannon goes over there. And I'm like, what is Shannon doing? Like, I thought that was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Like, Shannon is so desperate.
Yeah, she's trying to get screen time.
Yeah, or it's so weird what's happened where Tamara comes back. Shannon, you were so mad at Tamara when she returned. You were ready to fight. You wanted to say your piece. And here we are a couple weeks later, and you've forgiven her. She's barely apologized to you. This woman said you were unhinged alcoholic for 2 years on every show
every podcast she could get on.
Yes. And now you're her best friend again. I was like, wow, you've just let it go. Okay.
Yeah. Well, Shannon's
so that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
So I don't even know how it all resolved. Did it? It never did.
Not
did it?
really. I mean, I just feel like this season is very chaotic, and the last couple episodes especially been extremely chaotic. And Tamara, she's uncontrollable. Her anger and her, I mean, I'm thinking, is she acting? What is she doing?
I don't know. I don't know.
She's unhinged. She's the one who's unhinged, and she's drinking a lot.
Well, and I hate it when Tamara does this because she blames things. She's like, I just have so much going on. I have cut fitness. It's like, no, you closed the cut fitness. So, and it's wrapped up, and it seems like Eddie's wrapped everything up. So you can't complain about that. So you can't do that. And she said something about the dog. It's like, well, hasn't your dog passed away? You can't really, okay. You're okay. You can't, obviously I've lost pets too. It's like, yeah, it's upsetting.
You got to move on.
But you got to move on. Okay. So what are you blaming this on? Like, oh, I drank too much. It's like, okay, yeah, no, you've come back here and you are starting shit. Like, and
does she feel like she needs to do that to stay on the show? I guess.
I think basically you want to be Queen Bee. You come back and you see the dynamics, and you don't want to be on the sidelines. You want to be Queen Bee. And so, but I mean, man, Tamara she set all that stuff up with poor Shannon.
Oh, at the restaurant.
At the restaurant.
Yeah. So what were they talking about? She said, okay, so Tamara said that Heather had told her something about Shannon.
So Shannon, I guess apparently what happened was that Heather, so after everything that's happened with Heather and Shannon, I guess they're in a better place. So Shannon told something to Heather in confidence.
About John Jansen?
About John Jansen. John Jansen? About John Jansen. But that Heather then proceeded to repeat this to both Emily and to Tamara.
Oh, jeez.
And we see Emily and Tamara in another scene talking about it. Mm-hmm. And I guess Emily brings it up to Tamara saying, did she say this to you? And Tamara said, yeah, she said it to me. And it's not good. I mean, that she's spreading this around. And of course, even Emily knows that Tamara's not to be trusted and basically said, please don't throw me under the bus, Tamara. Like, don't make me look like the asshole in all of this, please. And then so we see this final scene of the episode is we see Vicki Gunvalson.
Vicki's back.
Vicki's back. She looks good.
She does.
She seems happy.
She's found love again.
She's found love again with this guy, and they're, I guess, having a lot of hot sex, as she likes to tell us. And she's got a house down in Puerto Vallarta. Is that it? And she's selling lots of insurance, I think, and her kids are doing well, and all is well with her. And she's there, and then Tamara shows up, and then Shannon shows up. And so so Tamara says to Shannon, she says, are you friendly with Heather? Do you trust her? And Shannon says, yes, I trust her. And then she had this little Tamara had this wicked smile on her face, and she said, do you trust her that she's keeping all your secrets? And Shannon's like, yeah, I thought so. And Shannon's like, do you know something? And Tamara smiles and said, yeah, I know something about John. And that's when Shannon stood up and was like, I can't do this. And then walks over to the crew and says, if this comes out, my relationship's over. And that's how the episode ends.
Yeah.
So apparently there's something that Shannon confided in Heather that Heather then talked about with other people
God, what
about
a scumbag.
John that would be very upsetting. So that's what everyone's trying to figure out. What is this information that would be? Now, the other thing is, apparently, I don't know how long ago this was, that Shannon was at this tiki bar down in Orange County. She was at the tiki bar where she got into a fight with John's daughter. She drank too much and got into a drunken fight with his daughter. And it was a big brouhaha. There's other reports saying that's not true, that really, because apparently she got kicked out of the bar, but that's not true, that she was just being helped out of the bar and helped to find her Uber, that wasn't the case. And that a couple days later, you saw she posted a photo of her and John saying, having a great night at dinner or something. So I don't know. I guess apparently they've been on again, off again. I don't follow Shannon. I just saw this on page 6 or something somewhere. So I don't follow Shannon on social media. I don't know. I know the two of them broke up, but apparently they're back on and off and whatever. So I don't know what this rumor is. I don't know what's going on with her and John Jansen. So
Yeah.
or what this big thing would be. I don't even know anything about John Jansen and what in God's name could be so life destroying.
I think they fought a lot. And because, Shannon, because I listened to Jeff Lewis's show, and she and Jeff are good friends, and she goes on there, and Jeff knows everything that's and from what they were saying in discussing the issue, it made it seem like they would get in these really heated fights, and like one of them would be like, "Get the fuck out of my house," or
my God.
you know what I mean, like that kind of like very volatile. So I'm sure that I shouldn't say I'm sure. I would guess they probably got into it one night and there was alcohol involved. They both drink their tequila. And I think maybe there was some sort of a little bit of physical in some way. And remember, this exact same thing happened. Remember when they went to Ireland and there was a big fight on the bus, like going to the airport?
Oh, yeah. God, are you kidding me?
Yeah. And I think it was the same thing. It was something where Shannon and David had some kind of domestic violence type dispute. Vicki had said something, and Shannon got really upset because Vicki had said something. Because Vicki told somebody, I don't know who, I can't remember, but it was the exact situation with Shannon, just a different guy.
Yeah.
So if I had to guess, I would say it's that, and she does not want that coming out.
That maybe they got into some kind of like fight or something, or maybe that like he allegedly. Yeah. This is all speculation.
This is speculation.
People,
I don't
maybe
know.
He grabbed her
or pushed her down,
or something happened,
or maybe they were fighting,
or maybe she hit him,
got physical in some way.
Or something. Like these things happen.
Yeah.
But this is what I was thinking about when I look at all of these things, and even when I think about, or I hear when Heather McDonald's on her show Juicy Scoop talking about all these people that she socializes with. It's such a different life and a different world. Steve and I last night went out to dinner with these people that we know from Pug Sunday. Our neighbors, and we went out to dinner, and it was nice. That's why I'm tired today. And it's just like, but we each had a cocktail, and then afterwards we had a glass of wine, and that was it. And of course I'm tired today, but like these people really booze it up.
Yeah.
Like and they're older than I am. It's just kind of this weird kind of wealthy life of just, boozing and just drinking heavily all the time. And it's just like a whole other world of and I think that this stuff seems to happen a lot, where you're just drinking and drinking and drinking and partying all the time. This is a big part of your life. And then you're constantly fighting and bickering and I
think it's getting worse on this show because like all their kids are grown up. When you have small kids, you can't do that kind of shit. Once your kids are older and they're off in college, you have a lot more freedom, you have a lot more time, and you can get drunk because you don't have to get up at 6 a.m. the next day and take care of a toddler, or, even have to take care of someone in the middle of the night or anything like that. So I see this just in general. I've just observed it from just getting older and looking around at people. You get older and it's like you kind of have less to do.
Yeah.
You're not as active and maybe doing things anymore. And so drinking becomes just kind of something you do to fill up the time. And because Tamara has been just wasted in every show, and she never used to be like that. It didn't used to be that bad.
Well, yeah, but the other thing too was that she was Miss Fitness. Like for the whole one season, she was training for a fitness competition, so she had to be. She couldn't drink at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. That is one thing. As my son's getting older and older, it is this weird thing that's happened where it's kind of like, God, have I seen him in hours? Like you feel less and less like, I guess I'm not so needed anymore. Where it's like, oh, you've gotten your water and your pills, and you did all that by yourself. Oh, you showered, and you don't need me at all for you did all those things. Oh, okay. Oh, well, I guess you don't need me at all. Oh, okay. I'll just sit here. Oh. Like you wait all these years for your kid to do all these things on your own, and then you're just like, oh, you did all that by yourself. Okay. I guess I'll just, all right.
Well, the worst is like with my daughter, when she's at school, she's away, and I don't, there's nothing I can do for her. I mean, except, answer her phone calls and,
and pay for her various things. Pay for it all.
Pay for it all. And when she calls asking for, advice or whatever. But when she's home, like in the summertime, I feel so discombobulated because it's like, she really doesn't need me for anything. Yet I feel like, okay, but there's this person living in my house and she's coming and going. She's mostly not here, but, she's going to come back, and is she going to want food, or is she going to, because, sometimes she'll spring it on me like, what's for dinner? It's like, what's for dinner? I don't know. I didn't even know if you were going to be here, and it's so discombobulating every day. I'm sort of like, okay, am I going to be needed today? Is there anything I need to do? And I want to be needed. And so then I find myself doing stuff for her that she doesn't even want me to do. She never asked me to do. It's really a trip.
And then we slowly become her mother.
Yes, I know.
Because our own mother does things for us that we don't want her to do. And we're like, Mom, God damn it.
I have to resist. Well, in our day, it was clipping like articles and stuff.
Oh, God.
So my mom, if she saw any kind of article in the newspaper or magazine or anything, she'd cut it out.
Yes, and mail it to us.
Or sometimes she'd save them up and and when we'd go to see her, she would give us like a bag of newspaper clippings and other stuff she thought that we might want or need. And, you never left empty handed.
Ugh, no.
You always, okay. Now today in the digital world, I have to resist like constantly forwarding TikToks or, life, like
life hacks.
Life hacks or things you see on Instagram. And I'm like, oh, this is a good idea. Because I would be inundating her all day long with it. And I'm sure she'd get annoyed by it. But but she sends stuff to me.
Oh.
Pretty frequently.
Oh.
And then if I don't respond, she'd be like, well, did you get the TikTok I sent you?
Oh.
And it's like, yeah. She's like, well, you didn't comment on it. Oh. It's like, well, I didn't think it really needed commenting. I enjoyed it.
Yes.
But it's so weird.
Yes.
But so that's what these women, they're going through all of that, and it's...
Yeah. But I think it's very interesting. I mean, I do, there is a little bit of, okay, Shannon, this is the second relationship that you've had that has been really volatile and really dysfunctional. I mean, some of it might be you, I mean, you can't just say that this is David Bador, that, first we were all on your side with David Bador, but now... some of this is you got to start taking responsibility that maybe you're not picking the right people, or that maybe it's you, that this is, there's a part of me that kind of feels like this might be you, Dave. I mean, this might be you, Shannon, that you've got to take some ownership of some of this stuff, this behavior, if this is continuing to happen here.
And Shannon's nutty. Remember when we first met her, when she first came on the show, she had all these weird things about her house.
Yeah.
You know, she put the crystals in the driveway, the crystals in her teeth. She had all this feng shui stuff, you know, the lemons, 9 lemons in a bowl, whatever. She had all these things in her Dr. Moon and all the weird stuff. And, you know, she's a little...
But I just thought, I don't know, just being from the Bay Area, you know, I don't know. I liked all that nuttiness of this. I get the feng shui nuttiness and Dr. Moon and all of that. I can coast. I like that. I kind of like that stuff. That nuttiness I get. This other nuttiness is just like really dysfunctional.
But she was always too like very controlling over just the environment, her house, her children. Mm-hmm. You know, she was just controlling, you know, and controlling in traditional ways, and then trying to control things through using crystals, and you know, like everything she did was to try to control her environment completely.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you're right.
And control other people. And David, nothing David ever did was right, and you know,
I just don't think she's ever had anything. She's never had. I don't think she's ever had something really meaningful to do that's been outside of her family or herself. Like, I think maybe Shannon would have benefited from a career that would have been outside of herself. I think, you know, as much as people make fun of Vicki and the insurance, it's good to have something that's like something work that you do that's outside of yourself, that's outside of your children or your partner. Something that's not an extension of yourself is a good thing. I think obviously raising children, having children, it's a very hard job. It's harder than working, but it is an extension, but it can be difficult because it's an extension of you. When it feels like it's an extension of you, it kind of screws people up a little bit, and people have a hard time differentiating, you know, themselves from their children.
Right.
So anyway,
well,
anyway, I'm here for the downfall of Miss Heather Dubrow, because they are Tamara is going to take her down.
Oh yeah,
take her down.
I heard somebody on a podcast talking about how they think that Heather, after this season, Heather's not coming back based upon some comments that she made somewhere.
No, I don't think she is. I don't think she's going to want to, because she's just she's going to.
She can't get anything out of this show anymore. It's like either they're going to give her a spinoff or they're not. And that's, I think, what she wants. She wants,
or she'll try to do something, or she's going to try to do something else, or she'll go back to auditioning. She's going to try to audition, and maybe she'll just do a bunch of stunt casting where she's always some haughty housewife type of character. And listen, maybe she will try to, maybe it will turn into something. Who knows? Maybe she will. Yeah. I mean, listen, she did have a legitimate career. I mean, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. And I know a lot of people hate Vicki. I don't mind her so much.
I think she's hilarious.
I think she's entertaining. I think, I think there is a place for her. So
yeah, bring Vicki back.
And I don't mind the Tres Amigas. I don't mind any of it. So, and I do, I mean, all of these women, that's why they work. I mean, Shannon is gold because she is so like, John Jansen? What? Huh? Woo? Just because she is like that, and that Tamara can get her so worked up.
Yeah.
And that Vicki is so insane. I mean, this is why it works.
It's entertaining.
Yeah,
it's entertaining.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's wrap it up. All right. So if you're still here, thank you. We appreciate it. So we are here every Monday and Tuesday. Mondays, we are doing our continued coverage of And Just Like That. And we are also we just started talking about the Real Housewives of New York, the latest season. If you like this podcast, please give us a 5-star review. And please, if you're not already, subscribe. We are on social media at Psych Legal Pop on TikTok and Instagram. And I think that's it. Yeah. Is there anything else? Tell a friend, tell 2 friends, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Pepsi Prebiotic Cola in original and cherry vanilla. That Pepsi taste you love, with no artificial sweeteners, only 30 calories, just 5 grams of sugar, and 3 grams of prebiotic fiber. That great Pepsi taste with even more to love. Pepsi Prebiotic Cola. Unbelievably Pepsi.